Yo, what is up, everyone? We got a great episode for you today as former Kenyan swimmer Teo Jaworski joins for a second time. We talked about him going to nationals and not only becoming an All-American in relays, but becoming an All-American unexpectedly as an individual. We also talked about what he learned in swimming and how he hopes to continue to give back to the swimming community as a coach. This is an episode you do not want to miss. Teo, thank you so much for jumping back on. I hope things have been going well for you. It's been a little while.
Yep, thank you for having me. It's been going well, adjusting to, post grad life.
Yeah,
It's definitely different. Knowing that I'm not going back to school and I mean move-in's two days from now, so knowing that I'm not going back there is crazy.
I was just gonna say, does it feel weird, or is it almost like I'm kind of ready to start my outside life of college?
It feels weird.
Yeah,
Uh I want to say hopefully I'm ready. Hopefully I'm prepared for life outside of college, but just Kenyon is such like a comfort for me that knowing that if someone told me, yeah, you have one more year there or 100 years there, still
yeah,
I'd be like, that's awesome. I'd love to do that, and um, hopefully I'll be visiting a lot this year. My girlfriend still goes there, so I'm
okay,
actually helping her move in. So I will be driving down in a couple days to help her move in. So
that's awesome.
um, yeah, it's good. It's good to know that it's still nearby. It's still close
Yeah.
enough that I'll be able to visit. But yeah, it's definitely it'll take some getting used to.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, obviously, not swimming anymore competitively has probably taken a little bit getting used to as well. Or have you kind of enjoyed it a little bit, taking a little bit of a break of kind of the wear and tear that it can have on you?
Yeah, I've enjoyed the break for sure.
Yeah,
I just got back in yesterday, swam some laps, probably not even 1,000 yards, and I was already gassed after that. Um, so I'm enjoying the break. I'm glad it's not 10 practices a week kind of
yeah,
affair anymore. Um, but definitely want to still stay active in different ways. I told you I've been playing basketball and doing it with friends. So not the most competitive type of environment, but it's still, it gets us active, keeps us moving. Definitely a different workout than swimming,
yeah.
one can
But you can
definitely say.
also say it's a little bit more fun, right? Because you
Yeah.
can kind of
Uh-huh.
do it on your own time when swimming. If you had practice at 6 a.m., you had to jump in at 6 a.m.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't negotiate swim
Yeah.
practice, but can definitely navigate around different times for basketball. So it's been fun. We've had some usually not early mornings, definitely late nights playing basketball. When we find courts with a street light over it or something, we can take
Absolutely.
advantage of that and play past sunset. Um, but yeah, it's been fun.
I was just gonna say it's almost kind of like you're a kid again, where like maybe if you were playing basketball outside and like your parents are like, it's too dark, come inside. You're like, one more game. Like, is it kind
Yeah,
of like that a little bit at this point?
yeah,
I
yeah.
love
We
that.
we played at this one park with no streetlights, and so we'd have to rely on the sun. And so once the sun sets, it's kind of game over. But we found another court recently, like last week, um, closer to downtown Ann Arbor in
Yeah.
community high school, and the street light's perfect. Gives us light. The rim is loud, so we feel bad for anyone sleeping nearby.
Yeah.
All of our misses are, are definitely projected, televised to the whole neighborhood or wherever. But it's okay.
Yeah, it's about having fun, and I'm sure probably no one cares too much
Yeah,
about it. It's just,
yeah,
it's just a good time, and especially like you had a good time in swimming a little bit as well. I want to kind of get into that because the last episode, it was like November time. We're kind of getting towards
yeah,
mid-season. We're talking about really how you were kind of focusing a little bit more on like your three best events: one free, two free, five free. How did that help you eventually qualify for nationals? And just talk a little bit and recap kind of how swimming went, because how your career ended was pretty cool.
Thanks. Um, yeah, I mean, it was my first year really focusing on the 100 at all. My first 2 years at Kenyon, I was training, two free, five free mile, going up all the way to the 1650. So it was
Yeah,
definitely different training, 1650 versus 100. Um, Junior year, I was with the 4IM as well. So it was a perfect time to lock in on, just my front end speed was always something that I felt like held me back. Um, like even in the 200, I would just start out slower than everyone else. I'd be able to bring it back, but I could never get out, out the gates just like that.
yeah,
So training with like different people, being in sprint group versus mid distance or distance group, it was great. Just change the scenery, um, different environment, knowing I could focus more on like weightlifting as well. Wasn't
exactly.
something I cracked down on heavily, but it was something I knew I could focus on more,
Yeah,
and not worry about, carrying on this, excess muscle or whatever in a mile, as opposed to
exactly.
knowing that I'm just swimming a 500 is my longest event. I can put on a little bit more muscle. I can train harder for, my 100, my 200. I can worry about my front end speed more than if I was training for the 4 a.m. or the mile. So it
Yeah,
definitely helped me adjust and just focus on freestyle as well. Because obviously junior year I was doing the 4 a.m. So this year, knowing that I don't have to worry about butterfly, I don't have to worry about backstroke, breaststroke, any of that. Just freestyle, freestyle, freestyle all day, and just like really working on tempo was something me and my coach Danny, we really focused on tempo a lot there. So knowing I could change tempo from the 100 to the 200 to the 500, was something that we definitely emphasized this year, and it was great knowing I could focus a lot more on just one stroke
yeah.
and not have to worry about anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that you can swim completely different like styles or like a completely different race for a 100, 200, and especially a 500, right?
Hmm.
But like when it comes to all of those events, power maybe is more important than endurance. Maybe 500 is a little bit of kind of both, but
Yeah.
when you're talking about the 100, 200, power getting off to a great start, that had to be a little bit, like you said, of a different kind of change, a different type of training, which really probably allowed it to maybe click a little bit faster than people trying to really mix events like you were doing prior to this past year.
Yeah, exactly. The power dynamic of that, the aspect of yeah, just making sure we'd get training done with, belts wrapped
Yeah,
to weights, buckets, all sorts of machines like that. So it was fun stuff I hadn't really been doing too much. We definitely do it in the mid distance group because still 200 free, definitely relies on power still, but tapping more into that with the 100 and doing more of that weight training, that resistance, all that power, focusing on that stuff. It was fun,
yeah,
not having to worry about doing like, whatever it is for the mile, like 500s, hold your tempo,
exactly.
hold your whatever. Um, it was all about just go out there, pour whatever you got into it, and that's what you get back. So yeah, I really appreciated the difference in training.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the you know seeing different coaches because we usually have, we had Coach Kosuke focus on sprint, Coach Danny on mid distance, Coach Jess on distance was usually how they did it, and so being able to see a bit of every coach, um, get training, get advice, get input from every coach was great to have, and yeah,
yeah, because you can get different perspectives from each
exactly.
different coach. Like it's an experience that you had with all of them, which most swimmers don't necessarily get that experience. Most don't go from like a sprinter to like doing a distance event. Most don't go from 4 IM mile to doing the 100, 200, maybe 500. Like it's kind of cool how you got that opportunity to do so, but it also allowed things to kind of click your senior year for more of those sprint events. What was it that made it click? Was it kind of the training style just fit you a little bit more? Was it like the lifting that you finally got to do a little bit more of, not really having to worry about that? Or is it more of just kind of like your mindset, just kind of the way you swim that made it easier to have the season that you did comparatively to having to swim a distance event?
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like my mindset did a lot to like produce the times that I went. I want to say it was definitely a little bit of everything that clicked. It was, a process. Year by year, I had been building this. I feel like I had been building this kind of, structure,
Yeah,
and it finally just, whether it paid off or I, finally put the last piece in, it worked out. And I would say my mentality definitely, at least for nationals, was different. Um, than prior years. I sometimes had nerves before going up on the blocks, before the race,
yeah,
overthinking or anything like that. So, getting in my own head before the races, nothing detrimental, but obviously I would have those nerves. But this year, it kind of changed. We had a sports psychologist that we had a few calls with her,
okay,
for an hour or so, once a month or something like that, and it was a great kind of worldview that she brought. It was
yeah,
just it was a you know stuff like remember how much money you have in the bank was a saying, a phrase that she would say, Coach Kristen, and she would just remind us that we've poured in so many hours, so many days, so many years of our life into this
yeah,
sport, training for these moments. Like, don't forget that. And so for nationals, on the blocks, I would be like, um, I know we might talk about this later about how technically I still didn't individually qualify this year.
yeah,
And I would remind myself that I would say, I'm not supposed to score in this event. Who cares if I go a 440, whatever in my 500? Who cares? Like that first day, I was like, who cares if I don't do well? Like, the sky's the limit. No one's
exactly.
expecting anything. There's no expectations. There's no weight on my shoulders. Nothing to worry about. And
Yeah,
that's what kind of produced those performances for me. What I felt like was just knowing that if I if I mess up, if I have a bad swim, who cares?
yeah,
I'm in the second heat. I'm in the heat with no one. No one's supposed to score here. No one's supposed to make it back tonight. And
exactly.
ending up as the second seed was crazy.
It's kind of like a mindset of like, hey, like I get this opportunity, but like no one's expecting anything. Like
Mhm.
this is the last time I'm ever going to swim these events. This is the last competitive meet. Like let's just go all out. And if it means failure, if it means literally like kind of like dying towards the end where you're just so struggling to finish where it's hurting so bad that it's like, hey, you know what? I gave it my all. And I feel like the sports psychologist and that kind of mindset really probably, again, made you not nervous and kind of have that mindset of like, hey, whatever happens, happens. Like, I wasn't supposed to be in this position, but now that I am, let's just see what happens. And turns out, like I said, some pretty cool results happen. And it's not something that a lot of people probably predicted to happen.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, hopefully some people had faith in me, but yeah,
Yeah,
definitely wasn't something that, the if someone was running the numbers to project the score on the meet, they wouldn't see that, and that makes me feel, it makes me feel good about it.
yeah,
I can definitely be proud of myself on that front.
yeah,
Um, and yeah, it was just it was a great experience and great memory. Um, Knowing I could do that for my team, especially help us get on the podium, top four. It's weird how they score it. How it's like
Exactly.
not top three, it's not top five, it's top four that
Yeah.
get a trophy. So it was good to get us up on that podium, get another trophy up on our wall.
Yeah, bring a trophy back to Kenyon, right? Which
Mhm.
is a program historically that has done so. Like that's kind of probably, if I had to guess, like expectations. But then you also mentioned like saying the fact like you kind of hope that some people like believed that you can do it. But at the end of the day, what's most important is that belief in yourself. And I'm sure you absolutely had that belief that saying like, hey, you know what? If things go well, maybe I have an opportunity to come back at night. And if I have an opportunity to swim at night, no matter what happens, anything can happen if you're just
Mhm.
given that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like before the race, before my first race that morning, what was it, Wednesday or Thursday? I forget. Whatever day it was, for that first day of the meet, I was telling myself, I hope this is the last time I swim the five. I don't want I don't
Okay.
want to make it back. I don't want to make it back. I just want to, maybe go best time if I go like a 4:28, 4:29,
Yeah.
take the best time and oh, I didn't make it back. Oh well. But it felt good because just this whole season, the 500 really hurt, and it
Yeah.
it was it was the way I swam it was, I would take it out aggressively, um, and I wouldn't really worry about, that last 200. I'd be like, that last 200, everyone's fighting for it.
Yeah.
I'm just be fighting for it as well. But this time around, it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. It felt great, and I was like, I could, if this is how I swam every 500, that would be great.
Yeah.
But I think I just, perfectly hit taper. I had some, massages from our masseuse that traveled with us to nationals. She's from Ann Arbor as well, which is cool. She worked
Okay.
with U of M, so shout out Jenna. Um, and yeah, so my body just felt great. I was in, probably I assume the best shape I've ever been in.
Yeah.
And yeah, even though I was like, man, I hope this is the last 500 I swim. Once I got out the water, I was ready to swim another, even if it was back to back. And so, um, yeah, it was a great time. It was, and it was nice knowing that like it was a decrescendo every day. My events got shorter. It was the 500 the first day, 200, A free relay, another 200, and then the 100 the last day. So
Yeah.
I could just gun it that last day. So it was a great progress of events, I would say, and
Okay.
um, yeah,
I was just gonna ask the question, is that the way you would want to go? Is just slowly decrease distance, or would you want to slowly increase distance as you went? Okay. Yeah.
absolutely not. No, I.
Absolutely not.
It's great to get the 500 out of the way, and not have to worry about that, and not have it on my mind. And
Yeah.
the 200, I could maybe switch around. I wonder how it would be switching the 200 and 500 around because the 200 can also be something that really gets in my head, and
Yeah.
just worrying about that last 50. It can be brutal in 200, but the 500 is just as hard, if not
Absolutely.
harder. Who knows if there's a ranking of the difficulty of events, but
Yeah.
those two events are definitely up there. So having them in the front and worrying about the 100 last is definitely ideal.
Yeah, and then you also have that opportunity to look forward to your favorite event, the 4 free relay as
Mhm.
well. So I'm sure that's probably a mark during that whole entire weekend where you're like, just get there so I can do this favorite event, and then whatever happens afterwards, just an added bonus onto that.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It was yeah, looking forward to that event. I was looking forward to the A free relay. I didn't realize exactly how close we were to breaking the varsity record, but we got the record.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, I just love, my team, my teammates on that relay, and so swinging it
absolutely.
for them. I just, my last 2 years being able to be on the 4 free relay. My freshman year, I was in the A free relay. It was a different feeling, but now I can really appreciate being on these relays. And they say swimming is an individual sport, but when these relays come into play,
Yeah,
it's all for the team. It's all for everyone else, and it feels great to be, you know, performing, competing, um, for my team, for my people, for my family, for my friends, and
exactly.
and all that, and being able to put it on the line for them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's about having fun
Mm,
at the end of the day. And those are team events, and those are people that you work with a whole season, or maybe like for a couple weeks head up to that. Like it's really about making sure that you do your job, but also making sure that the guy in front of you touches the wall before like you go. Like
yeah,
it's just like milliseconds at the end of the day that can
yeah,
truly make the difference. And it's just a cool thing when you finally get a record, when you do so well that you can celebrate that as like a group of four, but then as a team in general.
yeah, yeah. Speaking of touching the wall before leaving, just made me think about not a diss or anything, but made me think about I forget they would have been national champs, but I think it was Bates or NYU, one of those teams in I think one of the 200, whether it was medley or free relays, I forget, that disqualified, and so
Uh,
second place team found out and realized that they're the national champs. But yeah, I remember for the 8 free relay talking with one of my teammates, Ethan Mansky, excellent IMer, excellent butterfly backstroker, and he still has that 200 in him, 200 free as well. Um, and so he was talking. He's more of a number guy than me,
okay.
and is telling me if we go this time, if all of us average 137s or whatever, we're gonna get the record. That's gonna be insane. And he was
Yeah.
telling me this a full, you know, 24 plus hours before the race, and so it was the night of the first day of the meet. Um,
Okay.
None of us had swam the two free. I was the on the relay. I was the only one that swam the two free individually, and so
Okay.
I hadn't even swam the two free yet either. And so for the mid season, right after our call, a week or two later, when I swam the two free and I went 138, and that was my best time at Kenyon, best time ever, lifetime best. And so I was kind of wondering what can I go in that. And I was hopefully shooting for 136 was my hope. But when he told me, he's like, if all of us average 137, he was like, Teo, you have a chance to get 137. And I was like, I just looked at him. I was like, Ethan, I'm not going for 137. I'm going for 136.
Love it.
And being able to do that, not just off a relay start, doing it off a flat start made me feel great and set me up for that,
Yeah.
the next day when the relay really is. Um, but yeah, I didn't go. I went like I think 200ths faster with my relay start than my flat start because
Okay.
I was definitely nervous to fall start, so I made sure my start was nice and safe.
Yeah.
Um, After George A led off, and after that, that was me, and it was a great it's just a fun, a free relay is definitely not
Yeah.
as fun as the four free relay for me just because it's a mm, you know twice as long and stuff,
Exactly.
but it was a great time and getting that record. I have, we at the end of the season we have some awards to hand out, and the coaches got us a plaque for our record, and it's
Oh, I
great to
love
look
that.
at. And yeah, it feels great knowing that we got that record,
Yeah.
and after that, the next day, just knowing that I had a few 100s to worry about, and that was it.
Yeah.
Was just the cherry on top.
Exactly, and your name's going to be on the record board for however long it
Yeah,
holds, right? And that's the unique thing about swimming is there's some records that holds for years and years and years, and there's some records that like you might go back and you're like, oh, that record's gone
yeah,
already. So it's a fun thing, but it's also the unique thing about swimming is that you get those opportunities. But for you guys, prior to nationals, we did talk about last time some of your goals. You wanted to be like qualify individually, you wanted to be All American, you wanted to win conference. Unfortunately, before nationals, you guys fell a little bit short at conference, got second there. Did that motivate you? Did that motivate you guys at all going into nationals, knowing that, hey, we fell a little bit short of our goal that we want here, but there's still that possibility to achieve goals at nationals?
yeah. Um, Yeah, I would say that's a good question. We knew Denison was gonna be, they were the favorite to win. Well, were they the favorite to win nationals? Maybe NYU was, honestly. But we knew they were, a juggernaut themselves. All respect to Denison.
Yeah.
And they handled us in the dual meet before, but we always wanted to win conference. My first 2 years, I know we smashed them, and it was a great feeling. And then these last 2 years, they've turned the tables, and so it was definitely some motivation there. I fell ill right before conference, and it was or not even before, like during conference, it was just I was fighting for my life just to
Yeah.
breathe through my nose, breathe through my mouth, whatever I could. And yeah, that pissed me off a lot. Losing and in that fashion, in my poor health, whatever, no excuses, but just knowing that I wasn't able to perform to my expectations. Um, I'm sure I wasn't the only one on the team with that feeling in your head, and that definitely, yeah, it set us up for a good next 3-4 weeks of training before nationals. Um, we all want to win conference, but at the end of the day, the end of the season, nationals, that's
Yeah.
where we can lay it all out. And we weren't fully rested for conference. We were, some of us were, well, obviously, if people weren't projected to make nationals, obviously they're taking their full rest. But some of us were, you know, having a delayed taper, a bit of a drop rest, some would say,
Okay.
and yeah, so a combination of that illness and obviously just Denison is a beast.
Yeah.
When they have these national record holders, Jack Hill, George Goins, all these guys that can put it all out there. It was great to compete against them at conference, and knowing that I got to do that one more time at nationals definitely helped fueled me the next month or whatever it was for of training, and just
Exactly.
knowing these are the things I need to work on. I
Yeah.
have I have X amount of days. I need to get this stuff down. Need to fix this thing. Need to work on this thing. Whatever it was, um, definitely gave me some added motivation once we got dealt with by Denison.
Exactly.
So yeah.
I do have to ask, what is up with you getting sick at the most like important times? You talk about conference. I'm not going to say the last podcast was important, but you weren't feeling good either on that one. You just get sick at some of the most unfortunate times. Now you're feeling a little bit better on this one, so I'm
Mhm.
glad about that. But that's
Yeah.
just unfortunate for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember having to like click the mute button during this call to let a cough out every so often and stuff like that. But um yeah, it was just terrible timing. It was like so it was Wednesday morning because we have the 8 free relay. Wait, 8 free relay is its own day. No,
Okay.
8 free relay and 2 medley relay are like their own. It's only the night. Am I saying that right? I don't even know. I'm lying to you. 8 free relay is its own. It's only in the night. So it's like Wednesday night. That's when it begins, and then wait, I'm I'm skewing all the
That
days. I think it's
that's
Thursday
okay.
night. Yeah, Thursday night or something. Whatever. But you get it. And yeah, that morning, like the morning of us driving to Denison, I wake up, I'm doing a little loosen, and I'm like, huh, I have a little scratch in my throat. No problem, no worry. Swim in the 8 free relay. Denison meanwhile is destroying us. They have Jack Hill and all these guys just throwing down. They have so many guys that can go like 138, 137.
Yeah.
They they're just throwing down crazy times. So we're trying to bring ourselves back into the race, and I swam a decent race, and then I don't know if that took the immunity out of me, took the energy I was using
Yeah.
fighting the illness out of me, and then the next morning in the hotel, just wake up and I'm dead. I just like can't breathe through my nose, and that's the day of the 500, and it was just a brutal race. I'm getting destroyed by freshmen. Um, it was just not a good feeling, and so I go. unmedicated for that race, and then before finals that evening, I'm with my parents in the hotel. They're asking what's up, and I'm telling them how much I'm struggling, and luckily my best friend Nico, shout out Nico Theodos, his mom Patricia, she's a doctor, and
Okay.
she just runs to the pharmacy and she knows what to get. She gets me some Sudafed, some Mucinex,
Yeah,
things to just help me breathe, and help. Thankfully I didn't die in the pool. Didn't pass away, but
that's good.
it felt like I was close. It felt like I was close, but the same order of events. It's 500, 200, 100. So it definitely helped even more that time, knowing that
Yeah.
yeah, every day it gets shorter, every day it gets a little bit easier, and not having to worry about swimming a 500 on the last day when I'm barely able to breathe was a comfort.
Yeah, and then you still had obviously nationals after that, even though conference didn't necessarily go the way you wanted. We talked about how that motivated you going into nationals, but let's get into nationals because you did mention that you didn't necessarily like qualify individually. Obviously, you were going for the relays, but talk about how that whole thing worked out and really how you went from third in the 500, fourth in the 200, and 14th in the 100 individually when it wasn't originally planned that way.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, yeah, we already talked a little bit about it and how I kind of, I approached the 500 knowing I'm not supposed to score. So I just kept that same mindset. Knowing that if I don't make it back, it's okay. Like I'm not
Yeah,
supposed to. I'm just if I don't make it back, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do, basically. And um, any place I move up is a point scored that we weren't supposed to. So I would remind myself that a lot those first couple days. Going into the second day when I'm swimming the 200. In prelims, I was, I think, in end lane. Yeah, I was lane 8 or whatever, and I was swimming in the same heat as I think the second or third seed, John Butler. Um, Shout out him, U Chicago. But I knew if I keep him in my sights, if I keep him in my vision, I'll probably make it back, and I did that. I knew George Goins from Denison was on the opposite side, so he was lane 1, I was lane 8. I was like, he just beat me in the 500 last night. I want to beat him.
yeah.
So made sure to keep him behind me and keep John in my sights. And I was seeing him. I was like, damn, am I moving? And touching the wall, seeing 136, I was like, that's sweet. And just wanted to drop more time that night. Going in there, I was fourth and kept that place. Wish I could have moved out. Top 3 would have been nice, but
Yeah.
fourth place, can't complain about that. And um, talking about record boards, I think our oldest standing record was the 2 free from
Okay.
a man named Dennis Mulvihill, who still visits the team, still catches up with us, and he's a great guy. But George A broke his record at our midseason meet, George A Dragolovich. Um, and I was the second guy to break it, so unfortunately didn't break it before George A did. But it was a great feeling knowing that record's off the board. No disrespect to Dennis, but it's been a while. It's been like 40 plus years. He had it in like the 80s, and
Yeah.
so it's been 40 plus years. We got to get that record off, and um, being able to say I at least broke that record, even if my name doesn't go up for George A takes it. But that was a great feeling, and yeah,
Breaking a 40-plus-year-old record, like even if you're the second one to do it, like that's a cool moment, and that's something that like might be up there for a little while. Obviously, depending on who else comes back, like
hmm
who's graduating, stuff like that. But like that had to be one of the best meets you've ever had in your life, right?
mm,
Is it up there or is it like the top just because of how much that meet meant being an All American at least 3 or 4 different events?
yeah. No, it's 100% my best meet. There's no no denying, no arguing against that. Just yeah, being able to say that um, not being seated in any of these events and just putting it out there and trusting myself, trusting the coaching that I've underwent and that I've listened to the advice of my coaches, my mentors, my peers, anyone who's helped me on my journey. Excuse me. Knowing that I did it, for the team, and not only did I succeed, my own standards, but also being able to help the team at the same time, being able to like really push the team um, and bring us to get a fourth place trophy was great.
Yeah.
So that's definitely that's the top meet of my life. I don't really keep track of meets in that sense.
Okay.
Like I couldn't tell you another meet that would say like, oh yeah, that's when I performed at that level. So honestly, this is the first meet that really made me think, yeah,
Yeah.
this is an entire, 4 day process of me excelling. And it was a great feeling. And knowing that I was an All-American, um, I would get texts, get congratulations from former teammates and even my high school coach that I really look up to, Coach
Absolutely.
Steph. She sent me a text after my 500 as well. And it's just a great feeling knowing that I have the support of so many people.
Yeah.
Having my parents and my sister Hallie at the meet was a great feeling. Just
I
being
love
able
that.
to, you know, look up in the stands and see them there. My girlfriend, she was abroad the whole semester. She was 6 hours ahead in Paris, and she would still live stream it, even the finals. So
I
she was
love
probably
that.
up at, 2, 3 a.m. watching me swim. And that was just an amazing feeling. And there's just, yeah, so much
Yeah.
support around me that, you can't do anything but succeed. Um,
Exactly.
and it's yeah, looking up at the times, feeling great. Um, and just feeding off that, keeping the momentum going the whole weekend. Um, I just had to remind myself that, this is my last meet. This is all I have left, and just give it all you got.
Exactly, and I love that support not only from obviously like your teammates, your family, Coach Step. We talked about her quite a bit about just kind of the impact she had getting you to Kenyon, and just kind of the impact she's had in your swimming career. And when you were talking and kind of sharing those stories about how you got like so many like text messages, and you were talking about how hey, it's just the beginning of like the meet, like there's still like 3 or 4 days left to go.
Mhm.
That ironically enough made me remember messaging you about the 500, and I'm like, hey, congratulations, like what a meet so far. And you basically gave me the same answer, like you were obviously like really nice about it, like you're like thank you so much, but still 3 days left to go. And obviously, things end up turning out pretty well, and you end up continuing that momentum you had going into obviously the last day. And the last day, you swam your last event ever. You end up hitting the wall for the last time. Do you still remember that moment? Like, do you still remember what you're feeling at that time, or did it take a little bit of time after that for everything to truly hit you that like, hey, like this is the last event I'll ever swim?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know. I wish I could go back in time and just, yeah, think about that moment and just think about what was going through my head. Yeah, I obviously I knew it was my last event. It was the 4 free relay, and what better event to end on
Yeah.
than that? Swim it with my boys, Roman, Neil, and George A. Um, I led off. I was surprised that I led off. I don't have the most amazing start or anything, but I
Okay.
led off. I don't know if the coaches were trying to help me get under 44. Unfortunately, didn't do that. Um, 40, 44.3 or whatever was when I went, and I remember touching the wall. Um, but I was just, I was focused on my teammates racing. I
Yeah.
wasn't I wasn't uh wasn't worried about that being my last event. It definitely hit me in the next couple hours. Once once the season is fully over, everyone's enjoying the end of the season, festivities. That's definitely when it started sinking. I'm not going to be part of this team anymore. I'm not going to be competing. I'm not going to be training with these people any longer. And that's very sad. Obviously, we still had another couple months of the semester left. Still had school with these people, but it's not like we're
Yeah,
going to be, getting tortured for 2, 3, 4 hours a day in the pool, in the weight room, anything like that. And so, yeah, it was bittersweet. It's at times I'm saying I'm glad to be done swimming.
yeah,
At times, it would be painful. It would be torture. It would be anguish, whatever that agony, anything like that. And other times it's where you build relationships. It's where you build family. It's where you build like lifelong friendship.
exactly.
All my best friends, I know them through swimming, and so
Yeah,
it's missing that piece of that connecting piece is gonna be, you know, something that I think about for my whole life. I I reckon, and
exactly.
yeah, and that's why I want to continue that with coaching with Club
Yeah,
Wolverine, and I want to help build these lifelong connections for kids that are growing up and thinking swimming might be a sport for me. I want to help nurture that, help them flourish and stuff like that.
yeah. I love that. Like you can still have an impact in swimming. You can still have those connections without, like you said, swimming thousands and thousands of yards every single day. I'm sure yesterday when you got back in the pool and started swimming a little bit less than 1,000 yards, that's probably a moment where you're like, you know what, maybe I'm glad I don't do this anymore. But there's still obviously that connection with
Mhm.
coaching. There's still obviously the opportunity to swim as well. Still a great workout, but at the end of the day, it won't necessarily be exactly what you experienced in the past. And that's okay because you had such a great time. You made so many great connections and made so many great memories.
Mhm. Yeah, it can't last forever.
Yeah.
Um, I'm so grateful for the 4 years I had at Kenyon, for all my however long it's been, 15 plus years I've had in swimming. Um, and yeah, it's great to look back on these moments and be able to appreciate them and know that I finished on a good note and
Yeah.
with my team, helping my team and being with the people that I was with. Couldn't have asked for a better ending than it was.
Yeah. Like you said, competing and swimming for a college has to end, but how you're remembered for in last year doesn't necessarily have to end. Like the teammates that you've had, the coaches that you had. I know one quote last time we talked was if you can't give the effort or you're too tired to give full effort, you can give that full effort to build someone else up.
Mm.
Talk about how not only that great quote helped obviously your last year, but how you're still using that to this day as a coach, but then outside of swimming in general.
Yeah, when I said that, I was thinking, there's some days when you're just feeling off. You can't give it your all. You can't hit the times that you want to hit, but that shouldn't stop you from supporting your teammates, uplifting them.
Yeah,
If someone in your lane, or if you're going, if you're swimming next to someone else in another lane, help bring them up, help support them, motivate them, encourage them, and that's just something I want to be able to carry over to coaching, like you said, is just that motivation, that encouraging factor, um, not letting these kids get down, not letting them get in their own head. If they don't touch the wall before someone, don't worry about that. Worry about
exactly.
worry about you first and foremost, and then once you get that, you can also, start to look around you. If there's someone struggling, pick them up, bring them with you, carry them with you, to the end of the practice, to the end of the set, whatever it is. Um, you know, like I said earlier, swimming, people always say it's an individual sport, but
Yeah,
practice it's all about camaraderie, it's all about teammates, it's all about together. Um, and yeah, motivating, picking up the people around you, especially if they're struggling, if they're having a hard practice, not letting them, sink into rumination or whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it, whatever. If they're really beating themselves up about a bad practice, just tell them it's on to the next.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone has a bad practice. Everyone has bad days, and it's important to be there for people that are going through that, and you have the people that are around you when you're going through that to
Right.
support you as well. So it's a team effort, even though, like you said, it can be viewed as an individual sport.
Yeah, exactly.
So I do want to kind of wrap up with two last questions. Obviously, I know like your kind of swimming journey has probably been over for about 5 months, maybe a little bit longer than that.
Mm.
Now that you've had the ability to kind of take time, look back at your whole career, what would be one word that you'd use to describe it and why? Like this is like 15 plus years.
Yeah. One word to describe, yeah. Wow,
Or you
that's
could do
hard.
a phrase.
A phrase. Oh, maybe just a journey. I might say journey, um, process, something like that. It's not something you can just throw together in one day, in one
Yeah,
practice. You can't just find this in, an hour. It took, like I said earlier, how I was, who knows if my performance at nationals was just pieces and pieces being built through my 4 years at the school, through 4 years before that at Pioneer, before that at my clubs, Saline swim team, Ipsy Otters, my summer leagues, Bird Park Sharks, Forest Brook, whatever it is.
yeah,
All of this is just, built on top of the other. I learn one thing here, I learn another thing here. I work on this, I work on that, I get better at that. Everything is just, it comes together at the end. Um, and thankfully for me, it came together beautifully from
yeah,
in my opinion, and it just worked out in a way that I you know couldn't imagine a better end. Obviously, if I went world records in every event in my last meet, that would be even better. But
yeah,
for me to end on that in the way I did, it wasn't just something. It wasn't. I was possessed one day, get in the water, swim that. It was through 15 years of dedication to the sport, ups and downs, highs and lows. Conference could be a low. Where
yeah,
I'm going times that I swim in dual meets. Um, but it all in the end paid off, and to have it end, at that meet with that team, um, it means everything to me.
yeah.
So
You love those storybook endings. Like
mm,
it's not always going to be like that. Like there's people that don't get 100% of the ending that they want, and to have a story, to have an ending like you did, obviously, like I'm sure you would love to like win like all the events, but like to end it the way you did as All Americans, to really have the meat of your life. That's a great way to end a 15 plus career, and it's something that you can tell like you're proud of and realize like it took a whole journey. It took so many different people to get you to that spot, to now you can look back at the whole thing and see like just how far you came and what led you to having the success that you did, and I think that's awesome.
hmm yeah, it's definitely, it's a privilege to be, swimming this sport. Um, thank you to my parents for keeping me in there. I don't know if there was ever a time where I said I wanted to quit, but there was definitely times where I said swimming wasn't my favorite thing, and them
Yeah,
keeping me in there. My sisters before me, they swam, but they never continued after, middle school. And so my decision to continue after middle school into high school, through high school into college, was guided by my parents, and I'm grateful for that. And obviously, I'm glad that I myself didn't, burn out, didn't get exhausted or bored of the sport
yeah,
either. And there's always just there's joy to be found in the sport, no matter what way you look at it. From every angle, there's something interesting, whether it's coaching, whether it's spectating, whether it's competing, any of that. I'm sure even the officials
Yeah,
disqualify people there. I'm sure they find joy in that too.
they
Um,
might. I don't know.
yeah, they definitely do. But it's uh it's a great sport, and I'm grateful for the journey that I've been on. You
Yeah.
know, it's a lifetime worth of memories that I've made, and friendships and connections that I hope last for as long as I'm alive.
Absolutely, and I'm thankful that you're able and willing to come back to talk about how things ending to kind of get a little bit of a wrap to a chapter that we started 9 months ago.
Mm.
And I know obviously you're not going to be swimming competitively anymore, but I obviously know you're going to be coaching. I know you're still going to be doing great things, and I know I said this last time, but if you ever want to come back on to talk more about swimming, talk about coaching, maybe try to convince people listening on this to join the sport of swimming because it's
Mm.
given so much to you. It's a great sport, and I really truly appreciate you taking about 50 plus minutes of your time today to jump back on so we can kind of get a little bit of a wrap of this end of one chapter, but hopefully the start of another great chapter for you as well.
Yeah, hopefully. No, of course. Thank you for having me again. It was great to have the first podcast. I haven't listened back to it yet, but it's definitely that was a great point. Just like a little dog ear in that adventure, and
Yeah.
to have this be able to reflect on my career. You have some great questions that made me really think and really really reflect, and it was a great time.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for joining. Obviously, good luck with coaching. Good luck in the rest of your career there. Good luck outside of swimming. And yeah, thank you again for joining and tune in to the next episode.